Hello friends, it's Soul with some more Shadowlands coverage, and I'd like to update you on the latest news on Torghast, Tower of the Damned, and Torments, the thing that people are telling you to hate. There have been a few big changes in the developer notes, and if you're interested in reading them, I will link them in the description below. Right now I'm going to summarize, provide some additional details, context, and feedback. Let's start with what is undoubtedly some good news. Torments, as you know them, have been heavily revamped, with the worst ones that cause your run to be more difficult over time. Well, that is mostly no longer the case. Mostly. Instead of a timer, these torments have a flat increase based on the number of times you climb a certain floor. So, for example, for every cold heart floor that you climb, mobs will gain a buff for 5% of their health, which stacks, while before, you're inflicted with 1% less damage every 2 minutes per floor climbed. It's a much more forgivable and easier to understand system now. And let me go over the others. Mortregar's Echoes makes mobs deal additional magic damage rather than you take increased magic damage every minute. Might of the Upper Reaches does the same thing, it's just physical damage. Those are the worst ones, the ones that many have complained about that prevent them from taking their time, stepping away, or otherwise playing the way that they want. So, problem solved, right? Yeah. But no. Soulforge Heat is still the same, inflicting constant ticking damage every 5 seconds based on how many floors that you've climbed. The mob spawning torments have been revamped to not pester you as frequently as before, but those torments remain. Also, new traps have been added. For example, while climbing Coldheart Interstitia, an unkillable Coldheart ambusher will stomp on your location in the form of a swirly, which causes significant damage and knockback. And this is the kind of tile set where you can get knocked off into your kind of sort of death. This trap happens way too frequently, even when actively engaged, which makes this cell block very undesirable for anyone who frequently steps away from their computer. It's guaranteed that this is going to be retuned to some degree. So while Blizzard had put a stop to torments that make floors impossible if you take your time, they're holding their ground when it comes to Torghast basically kicking your ass if you AFK for more than a few minutes. Just as before, torments don't start to appear until after the 13th floor, and you can still rest at the start of every floor. I'm still happy with the overall change, but I fully expect the torments to be retuned again and again as we move from build to build. To be frank, the stacking debuffs as they are now mean absolutely nothing as you're climbing floors. Your anima powers just outstrip anything that they can throw at you. Mob tuning and scaling still hasn't gotten to pass either, which is totally okay, but we can probably expect a much higher spike in difficulty as we climb floor by floor, either with sharper scaling or fewer anima power drops. The bigger changes that come from this build come from the reorganization of how Torghast is run, because now we have two kinds of Torghast modes. The first type is the cell block run, which drops legendary materials. Each cell block run lasts for only 6 floors and ends with a boss floor, followed by some rewards. When you re-enter, you can click on a waypoint and then choose the floor that you want to climb based on the highest boss floor that you completed. So floors 7, 13, 19, and so on and so forth. I presume that the purpose here is to scale the number of legendary reagents you can obtain against the difficulty of the 6th floor run. As an FYI on the alpha, a 6th floor run takes anywhere between 20 minutes to an hour depending on the difficulty. Each week, 2 kinds of cell blocks will be available to enter. So far, there's Skoldus Halls, Fractured Chambers, Mortregar, Coldheart Interstitia, Upper Reaches, and the Soul Forges. Recently I released a guide to Mortregar, and I plan on releasing guides to each of the cell blocks to help you survive the many traps and mob types that you'll encounter, so I encourage you to subscribe and turn on that notification thing so you know when those are released. The other mode is the Twisting Corridors, which many are already familiar with. Unlike the rotating cell blocks, this is always going to be available. It's a consecutive climb of 18 floors, including 3 bosses. And just like the cell blocks, you can choose which floor to start on based on the highest level boss that you defeated. However, the Twisting Corridors does not drop legendary reagents, but items called Twisted Dust, which will be used for cosmetic rewards. I speculate that the reward structure will scale based both by the floor that you wish to start at and an additional multiplier if you manage to climb all 18 floors. So to summarize, the current plan in Shadowlands is to have 2 modes in Torghast to choose from. Running cell blocks will be the kind of sort of required run for legendary crafting, while the twisting corridors will be for fun, cosmetics, or prestige. What we still don't know for sure is how Torghast will interact with the rest of Shadowlands. And by that I'm asking, can a player climb very high by just playing the Maw and Torghast, in the same way that players can complete a 5-mass Horrific Vision through vision runs and outdoor content only? Will there be keys? And does that make a difference between cell block runs and the twisted corridors? And of course, what do you think so far? Are you happy with the changes, or are these literally island expeditions? I'd love for you to share your thoughts, questions, and feedback in a comment below, and don't forget to hit that like button if this video was helpful. Once again, I invite you to subscribe to the channel for more Shadowlands coverage and all things Warcraft. We'll see you later. Until then, stay safe, stay healthy, and stay breezy.